Morning. I'm going to tell a story that I have had close to my chest since I was a kid. I wasn't able to tell the story or allowed to. Many years ago, my sweet mom had signed an NDA with a celebrity in order to avoid trial and get a settlement. The thing is I didn't sign an NDA because I was just a kid. Well, my mom is no longer here. I want the story to be told because I think that celebrities should be held truly accountable for their actions. It was 2008. My mom had just lost most of her money and she needed to rent the home. A celebrity came along and wanted to rent the house out. Everything was fine except for one time I was here with my parents. They were maybe working on something with the house, and I got to meet her, the person renting, and I saw the way that she had lived, and it was bizarre. There were candles everywhere, candles of all sizes, big, small, wide, every single corner, every mantle, down the steps, along the walls, really everywhere. Along with taxidermy, like a wolf just standing in a bedroom looking at you, and you know, animal heads on walls. Shocker, the house burned. There was a ginormous fire that took place. It was negligence, and the arson investigators declared that it was a candle fire. I just want to give context. There were holes throughout the hardwood floors, smoke damage in the entire home. The only reason that it was, it stood was because it's made from stone. Now, I want to be abundantly clear about something. My mom passed due to cancer. Our family believes that the stress of the fires and the restoration process and the lawsuit is truly what brought it back with such vengeance. Another thing I want to make clear is this person that rented the home and then caused a massive fire throughout the house due to her own negligence had the audacity to send my mom hate mail, hateful, spiteful emails. She was in denial. She was a liar, a narcissist, truly a mean person. All the while, she actually used the home and claimed that it was hers on her TV show, which my mom said she wasn't allowed to do, but didn't have the energy or the heart to pursue her for that. Now, I believe that this woman had very dark energy at the time. My mom did, and my dad did believe the same thing. My mom had a halfway written fiction book about the experience because she wasn't legally able to mention this person's name. And she told me she didn't release it or want to finish it because she was afraid of what this person's energy would then bring forth to her. And I feel that my mom's energy will protect me from whatever this person could do with her own energy. We're big on energy here. So, Kat Von D, I am that little kid that you met back in the day who you destroyed the family home of with your negligence and your candle obsession. Thankfully, my parents won the lawsuit against you, but that didn't take away the stress that both of my parents endured dealing with you. Now, I thought long and hard about whether or not I should forgive this person, Kat Von D, and the truth of the matter is my mom, I don't think, would forgive her for the stress that she put our family through. The life experience is short. When you have to deal with people like this, it really does strip off years. And I believe that I watched that happen with my own mom in real time. In this world, there are people who carry light energy and then dark energy. People whose souls work for light and dark. Kat Von D, I believe, is on the dark side. And my family, my dear mom, had to be on the receiving end of that. So I do not forgive her. That is my story time about Kat Von D. I don't think enough people know her character.
This week I've been accused of burning down a house and contributing to the death of a woman with cancer. And, you know, I want to be as respectful as I can in this video, but it's also very hard not to be disheartened by this man's accusations. And not just that, but also just how quick people, they see a video on TikTok and then they just think not to question the other side to it. And I definitely feel forced to do this. This incident happened, I believe, almost 16 years ago now. So it's kind of crazy to think that it's coming up now. But here we are. So let's get into it. Teva is accusing me of burning down his mother's house because I was lighting candles, which is not true. I wasn't even in the home when the fire happened. I was on a book tour. He's also accusing me of having made his mom sign an NDA to where she wasn't allowed to talk about a lawsuit or anything that happened with the fire, which is not true either. We have had people sign NDAs, landlords or people that we do any business with in the beginning when we sign contracts, just so that people aren't selling my information to, at the time, tabloids and things like that. But after the fire had happened, we never gave an NDA for his mom to sign. So I rented this house from a woman named Deborah back in 2010, which is like 16 years ago. And it was a beautiful house. It was a really small house in the Hollywood Hills. And I loved it so much because it was a very unique house. It was Frankenstein's castle from the 1930s movie. And even though it was tiny, it was perfect for me and my cat. And that's who lived there. It had like one main bedroom, a small kitchen, and then like an entryway that was like a living room. It also had a basement that was turned into a recording studio in, I believe it was from the 1930s, but maybe got revamped later on in the 80s or something. This is where I believe the fire started. I do believe it was an electrical fire, and the arson specialist, the official arson fire guys that came over to inspect everything literally told us that it was not a candle fire, that this was most likely started in the basement in that old recording studio from some type of faulty wires or from the panel. The reason I bring up this panel electrical situation is because I have the emails where I had asked Deborah on several occasions and told her that there was electrical issues in the house, specifically with the panel and also with this garage door that she refused to get professionally fixed. And I understand people are struggling with money or trying to save money where they can. But instead of sending out professionals, she kept sending out her husband, who was not a trained electrician. And I brought that to her attention several times. There was 2 times that there was actual sparks within the house and at the light panel and at the garage door. Do I think that this could have been avoided? Possibly. I think if a proper electrician would have come and repaired things and looked at things, that they might have been able to catch it. I don't know, but to go forward and blame me and my gothic decor, it's just not right. No one came out of this situation unscathed. I am very fully aware that she lost her home, the home that she owned. I lost the home that I lived in. The fire took everything from me. I mean, I literally had nothing. I lost all my clothes, my computer, my hard drives, all my photos. I mean, there's a huge, massive gap in my life that is just went up in flames. And most importantly, my little kitten, Valentine, was in the house when the fire happened. The firefighters told me that thankfully she didn't burn alive. I mean, I would hate to imagine that she suffered that way. They found her in my bed and she was asleep, so most likely they said that the smoke inhalation killed her. So, it was traumatic for everybody. Teva claims that between the renovation and the lawsuit between the insurance companies, and losing the stress of losing the house and everything, he's saying that it's my fault that her cancer progressed and that I have something to do with her dying. And I feel like that is such an unfair thing to impose on someone. I am beyond sorry for your loss, Teva. I really am. Can't imagine what it would be like to lose a mother that you're so close with. But at the same time, I didn't set the house on fire. This was a tragedy, and it was out of both of our controls. And I would never wish that on anybody. So to frame it in the way that you're doing it it's hard not to take offense to that. So last night, as I was laying in bed and seeing an influx of all these comments calling me like a mom killer and an arson and all kinds of crazy things, I prayed about it and lost a lot of sleep over it. And my heart goes out to Teva. He's lost his mom. He was a teenager when the fire happened, and so he's recounting a story through the lenses of a son who loves his mom and whose mom is suffering. So I can't really hold that against him, but what I can hold against him is just the villainization that he's doing, and I hope that he's able to find peace somehow, but I'm definitely not going to be someone's emotional punching bag. That's just not how it works. So anyways, I'll post screenshots of emails now if you guys want to like hold down and read them. And yeah, here's a screenshot of an email where Teva came over with his dad and how he and the family were praising me on the beautiful decoration that I've done to the house on the interior, which later he goes on to, in his TikTok videos now as a 30-year-old man, to recount stepping into the house and being spooked out by all the taxidermy and just, making it sound like, I just destroyed the place and made it so scary and awful. Here's an email where I had asked her several times to please hire like certified people to check on the electrical and also other things that were happening in the house instead of sending people who were not qualified. Here's another email where she's asking to raise the rent or whatever to pay for her kids' college fund. But at the end, she's praising me for how I've been taking care of the home and how happy she is with me living there. And lastly, here is the email where I had to respectfully set some boundaries with her after she berated and yelled at my staff. I just respectfully asked her to refrain from calling us because she was yelling so much and just stick to emails. It's stern, but in no way is it hate mail. So yeah, there you guys go.
Good morning. I watched Kat Von D's video. I have email receipts and a lot more. But first, I'm going to play a clip of her gaslighting my family's lived experience. Then I'll respond.
Unique house. It was Frankenstein's castle from the 1930s movie. It also had a basement that was turned into a recording studio. This is where I believe the fire started. I do believe it was an electrical fire, and the arson specialist, the official arson fire guys that came over to inspect everything, literally told us that it was not a candle fire, that this was most likely started in the basement in that old recording studio. from some type of faulty wires or from the panel.
The thing is, Kat was not expecting my mom to have set me up with her own email login right before her passing. So I have everything. Correspondence between attorneys, insurance demands, preparations for court if it came to that, and most importantly, the fire reports. Let's start with the first candle fire that Kat Von D had in the house, which she also tried to conceal. I'm gonna read from my laptop, but I will put the screenshot on the screen as well. She goes on to say that it wasn't a very big deal and she's respecting my mom's no smoking rules. The neighbors called the fire department after a candle set off the smoke alarm, claiming there wasn't a real fire, it was no big deal. Well, there's an incident report for that too. She finishes the note by saying, since then I have removed a majority of the candles from my house and thrown them away. Have replaced them with battery-operated flameless candles. Well, now I'm going to show you correspondence between my mom and one of her attorneys at the time. It will explain both fire incidents, and this is what really happened. Well, now that you know that there wasn't one fire at the home, but two fires at the home, one of which resulted in serious destruction throughout the home, I am going to show you an official fire report from an investigator. I left the case number in the report as well as the investigator's name. There were multiple investigators, both sent from the insurance companies as well as private, forensic, arson. They all had the same findings. Kat Von D goes on to make my mom out to sound as though she was a petty landlord, and she makes me sound like I'm a money-hungry son who's looking to make money off of this situation. I'm not making $1 off of this, but what I am doing is facing my childhood fears and facing my mom's fears. Kat Von D, I will never be able to prove what you are doing behind the walls of my childhood home. But what I do know is that you claim to be a Christian. It does not seem like a very faithful thing to tell a lie about a situation that you played a very large role in and gaslight the family and speak false things about a situation that involved a woman who is no longer here to defend herself. That woman is my mom, and I am clearing her name on the internet right now. I spoke a lot about energy, and the truth is there are things that happened that I will not go into detail on because they're not very easily believable, and they are the sorts of things that inspire movies. You know those movies that say based on true events, and you're like, oh, that's a bit unnerving? Well, yeah. Recently found out that Kat Von D is a music artist. If you didn't know that, it's okay, I didn't either. I wanted to check out some of her music, and the names of her songs were enough for me. Will not be listening. I know that people can change, but it doesn't take too much of a Google search to find out what she was openly up to during that time period. And I'm not entirely sure that I would believe a Christian who is not truthful about past events.
I'm in LA here with my family, and I've had a productive meeting with my lawyers. But after talking with them, this will definitely be the last video that I make regarding this subject. But before my legal team takes it from here, I want to leave you guys with this important information. Teva showed you guys the documents from the investigation that was hired by his mom, most likely through her insurance company. And those reports said that the fire was started with candle negligence. But I'm going to actually show you the official statement from the actual Los Angeles Fire Marshal. As you can see, it does not say that the cause of the fire was candle negligence. It says that it is undetermined. It's what I've been saying from the very beginning. And just so you guys know, sometimes when there's excessive fire damage like this, having an inconclusive outcome is not out of the normal. The other point that he brought up was the lawsuit. You know, I see so many people saying, well, Kat, you know, he won the lawsuit, so it must mean that he's right. Actually, no, he didn't win the lawsuit. There was no lawsuit in front of a judge and jury. We actually arbitrated outside of a court. At that point, my lawyers strongly suggested that I settle, which would have not kept us tied up in the court system for years. I wouldn't have spent so much money in lawyer fees and just drag something on that didn't need to drag on. So I settled and I had my insurance pay her out. And for those of you that don't know, settling out of court is not an admittance to guilt. It just means that we sat down, we did the math, and it wasn't financially making sense to make this drag on for years and years and years. As far as where I was when this fire happened, I was on my very well documented book tour. I had a signing in Rancho Cucamonga, and then right after, I was en route to Vancouver, Canada. So I'm not sure how a candle could physically light itself without me being there. The photo that Teva posted of me standing in the aftermath of the fire was taken after I had found out about the fire and had to return back. Okay, hate mail. Teva says that I sent his sick mother a ton of hate mail. He also says that he has logins and all the passwords to his mother's email account, so why hasn't he posted the emails of all of the hate mail? Because there is none. I did post all the emails that we had during the 3 years that I lived at that house, and none of them were hateful. Okay, last thing, his mother's cancer. Okay, I cannot be held responsible for his mother's cancer progression. She was diagnosed prior to the fire even happening in 2010 and didn't pass away until 2025. So I'm really not sure how I could be held responsible for someone's cancer progression for 15 years. I know everyone grieves differently when they've lost somebody that they love, and I genuinely, sincerely pray that Teva and his whole entire family are able to somehow find peace one day. And look, I don't think Teva is lying. I think he's just operating with whatever information that he has, and I think he's also operating emotionally from a place of resentment and wanting to blame somebody, and I think that's understandable. And my heart really does go out to him for that, especially when people are still in the grieving process. So I am definitely asking my fans and my followers to not go over to his page and engage negatively. I don't want to spread any hate more than there already is out there. I don't think anything gets accomplished with that. I'm probably going to figure out how to turn off the comments for this video because y'all like to fight in this comment section. And, you know, I don't think we need to continue spreading any more negativity. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Mwah.